your word for it.
Yes.
And what was the criteria that she used to say, yeah, I agree, right, that you actually are transgender?
I believe at the time I honestly just told her I was transgender, that I wanted to transition from male to female, that I didn't feel comfortable being as a boy, and she said that's good enough.
So you can't even buy a beer at this point legally. You can't even buy alcohol. And now I think federally you can't even buy, or maybe it's just our state, you can't buy cigarettes at that age, but you can tell someone that you are the wrong gender and they just take your word for it.
Yes.
The number of young people seeking gender reassignment surgery is at an all-time high, but we rarely, if ever, hear anything about those who have come to regret their decisions. Welcome back to Slightly Offensive with your favorite host, me, Elijah Schaefer. We are here in the studio today with a very special topic. It is time to detransition. Welcome back to Slightly Offensive with your favorite host, me, Elijah Schaefer. We have a special topic today, which is called It's Time to Detransition, where we are interviewing an individual who is going under the pseudonym of Abel Garcia, who underwent partial gender reassignment surgery and has been diagnosed as a transgender, but has decided to revert back to the gender they were born with. We hope you enjoyed the show. But before we get into the interview, I want to let you know that this podcast is available audio only on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So please check the links below and give us a 5-star rating wherever you're downloading it. Listen to it on the road. It really helps us out. Anyway, I want to welcome to the studio, of course, and for the very first time on Slightly Offensive, Abel Garcia. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, Elijah. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Well, okay, first of all, I want to say I'm really grateful for you deciding to come on and share your story, not only with me, but of course with the thousands of people theoretically that are watching this over time, as this is a topic that I think is really not only politically charged, but it's medically charged and socially charged, which is really, really interesting. So I know you don't want to give too much about your private life, but maybe for just those that don't know you, if you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, just around what age you are. You can just say you're in your whatever.
Well, like I said, my name is Abel Garcia. As Elijah said, it is a pseudonym for my identity. I transitioned around the age of 18, 19, and I am currently 22 years old, so about 3 to 4 year transition. So I am born biologically male. I transitioned to female, and I would say within the last year and a half, that's when I've had thoughts of regret.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think it was easier for you to come out publicly about transitioning or detransitioning?
A million times easier to say I was transgender. A million times more easier. Very few people even know that I'm detransitioning, or I guess if any of them are watching.
Hi.
Yeah,
it's like an international show on like multiple platforms. It's like this is not just YouTube. It's on Blaze TV as well. So it's like
well,
it's like
any friends or family of mine who figure out who I am.
Anyone
surprise?
We want to know who Abel Garcia is. Okay, so that's an interesting point that you bring up, and I want to ask you this: are you mentally ill?
I've never been legally diagnosed with anything. Honestly, I wouldn't really know.
Do you think you are, though?
I would say probably.
Like, or at least a disorder? Like, do you think it's a disorder? I mean,
feel like,
maybe not ill, but there is a little bit of a difference between having a disorder and being mentally ill, because mentally ill comes with the idea that it can be fixed, right? There's an illness that you can treat. A disorder sometimes, shows that without medication or something, you couldn't actually overcome it. So, there's a lot of debate right now about whether or not that they should move gender identity disorder and dysphoria from the DSM-5, right? The psychological book of diagnoses and medical conditions. And that debate is kind of coming up where trans people are saying we're not mentally ill, we don't have a disorder. But I would say on the flip side, especially someone with a background in genetics, a background in biology, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not even a clinician, so I don't understand therapeutical diagnoses very well. But I think that being genuinely and legitimately trans is a mental disorder. I do. I think if you think you're disassociatively not born in the right gender, and while biologically you are that gender, that there's something that is an issue. And I think it would be really damning and detrimental to our society if we started to normalize this, because I was reading about these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are coming out now and saying they wish they hadn't transitioned. And even after they've transitioned, people that don't want to go back are saying there's doubts every day about whether or not that was the right treatment.
Actually, I'm gonna agree with you there in regards to the transitioning, or I'm sorry, with the transition for me personally, from male to female. I would say that this is from my perspective. I can't speak on everyone, but when I first started getting the hormones, appearing as a woman, makeup and everything, growing out my hair, it was more of a rush of euphoria, the best way I could explain it. And then obviously when it was over, that's when I would have more doubts, like, oh God, am I doing the right decision? That's when I would start questioning myself.
Trans issues, these ideas are really hyper partisan. In fact, a lot of the protests we go to, people have the signs that say trans rights are human rights. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And there's this big issues of let the trans identity come to the front. This is this cultural Marxism, right? This idea that trans people are now like the new vocal point. But if you were disabled and black, you'd have a little more of a ability to speak. But why do you think that trans issues have become political instead of remaining medical, which is what they actually are?
Honestly, I feel like they were originally medical, and this is just coming from my perspective, a 22-year-old young man. But I say within the last couple of years, it has become more political. Mostly, in the way that I can explain it, it's been hijacked by the Democratic Party to make so they can have the best way. Like I said, the best way I could explain it is that the Liberal Party, i.e., the Democratic Party, want to get everyone on their side. So they hijack the transgender issue and say, oh, if you vote for us, we'll give you whatever you want. You want top surgery? Deal, we'll give it to you. You want bottom surgery? We'll give it to you.
That leaves a lot of open room to abuse of the trans thing. If there's not this clear criteria, and I always tell people that, I don't know if you're familiar, I used to call myself a gay black woman.
I loved when you did that.
Yeah, I did that.
That's
and
funny.
There was this one trans person in Seattle, part of Antifa, who was like, oh, you're making fun of trans people. I said, no, I'm making a political statement.
If that doesn't make me a fascist.
Reality.
That doesn't make me a fascist, because I don't believe any fascist ideals. I'm literally just here.
Deal with the non-binary thing and why you identify as that and why you think it's a joke.
I don't think it's a joke. You said it's a joke.
Well,
I never said that. I would not. I don't think it's a joke. I think it's an identity disorder, and that's what I believe it is. It's a psychological disorder that real people.
Oh, cool. So that's a way that you can legitimize telling people that they're fucking subhuman.
I didn't say you're subhuman. Subhuman would mean they don't have value.
That's exactly the message you're
If someone's depressed, does that make him subhuman?
You're trying to fucking insinuate. And you're a
Hold up.
coward, and you
Hold
won't
up.
come out and fucking say it.
I don't think people who are depressed are subhuman. I don't think anybody. I mean, I've suffered with depression. Does that make me subhuman?
No, but that's the thing. It's like his identity as a man. What you're saying is that's a disorder.
I'm not saying that everyone should give into this LGBTQ BS that's trying to push you. But as a content creator, I have to be really careful because people are already trying to delete my channel all the time. And they're trying to take down my videos and mass report me. So I am careful on how I talk about issues, especially to follow the law. And in California, we do have gendering laws, which is really, really alarming that it is more illegal to misgender someone in the state of California than to infect them with HIV.
Yeah.
Thank you again, guys, always for supporting Slightly Offensive. Have a great rest of the day, and may God bless the United States of America.